What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Wisco Madman coming at you. I am here to show y'all how to clean up your headlights. This is how the headlights, or in this case, fog light, looks to begin with. You can see all that haziness. I keep my ring light out of the reflection there. But that's how it looks to begin with. It's extremely pitted. And I'm going to show you how to clean it up. In this case, I use this kit. Unless you're doing a lot of, like you're doing your entire set, say taillights, then you have multiple sets of taillights and you have your headlights and your fog lights, then you might end up with more than just this kit because you're going to go through the sandpaper and whatnot, obviously. In this case, with that major pitting, I personally find it easier to start with a 400 grit. This kit starts with an 800, you move to 1500, you do a 3000 dry, and then you go to plastic polish with a polishing head. All of this can be done simply with your drill. You want to have, what the hell do they say? They want 400 to 600 RPMs coming out of that drill. In my case, that's just simply, I have the choice between a 1 or a 2 speed setting. I put it on 2. That works pretty well. As your battery runs out, obviously, you got to switch over to a different battery. If you're using a plug-in, you will have more than enough. So I've already modified a pad to put 400 on it. You got to be careful if you're going to do the 400 because that's obviously lower. You're going to put deeper scratches in it. It's going to take you longer at the 800 level to level it back out. However, it's going to get through that pitting a lot faster than what that 800 is going to do. If you were doing it with just the 800 and it's severe pitting, you'd probably go through 3 or 4 sheets of 800 grit. So you just slap it on the head here and you're ready to go. I'll show you the start. I'm not going to bother with a fast forward sequence, and we'll just edit to cut to the next step. So we look here, take our head. This whole time you want to use water. For the 400, 800, and 1500 processes, you keep your surface moist. Flip it around. Just get a little bit of loop, and you go. Alright, now on to step 2. We go from the 400 grit over to the 800 grit. But first I'll show you about how it looks when you get done with the 400. You got that quite a strong haze to it. You don't really want to be alarmed by that, but you shouldn't see much pitting left. If you did it right, you'll see that it's mostly just tiny scratches, which is obviously the result of the sandpaper, and not any of the like gouges or pitting as we call it. So I will go ahead and take off my 400 grit pad that I prepped myself, and I will throw on my 800 grit pad. And we'll go ahead and, like I said, 800, you still want water. So at this point, we've completed the 400 grit, we've completed the 800 grit, and now we're going to move on to the 1500 grit. But before we do, this is about how, we'll get a proper look at it, about how we're looking. Slightly hazy, no pitting really left that you can tell. You know, that's about where you should be. It just kind of looks foggy. So, yeah, at this point, if you have any deep swirl marks, bad scratches, any of that kind of stuff, you might want to pedal back. The depending on how bad, you might have to go all the way back to the 400. But if not, if it's just foggy and very, very tiny scratches, you should be fine. So I'll tear off this 800 pad and I'll pop on the 1500 pad, still using water at this point. Get my layer and we're out. Alright, y'all. At this point, we've done the 1500 grit wet sand. This is about how we look. Get that so you can see it without a glare. We're getting pretty clear already. You don't see a whole lot other than you can obviously see some swirling and stuff. But that's not that big of a deal. As you lessen up, the swirling will disappear. It's all personal preference. As I said, these are fog lights. I'm not overly worried about it, but I definitely wanted to smooth it out before I put a vinyl wrap on them. Or not a vinyl wrap, but a smoke tint. That's what I was going with. It is a vinyl wrap, but you get my point. So we take this pad off because we're done with our 15. And now the 3000 grit it's an actual real pad, like a squishy pad. And that's to prevent you from putting too much pressure, I'm sure. This one we will not do with water. It's simply with, it's dry. So let's get started. Alright, so at this point, we've completed the 3000 grit pad, and this is what we're looking like. Still a hair bit hazy, but not by much. I mean, we're looking at very little scratching, very little haze at this point. So from this point on, now we take the 3000 grit pad off and we go ahead and throw on our polishing head. Looks like this. This one looks like a very used one. Your new one will actually look like this. You grab your plastic polish, put just a tiny amount in there. You don't need a whole lot. The more you add on there, the more of a mess you're gonna make. And believe me, you're gonna make a mess. So that's actually basically the main reason why I take my headlights out to do this instead of just doing it on the car. Because before I started the fog lights, I actually did the headlights on the car, and it took me a long time to get all the little polish spatter off the car. Highly recommend you just take them out. It's easier. Less to clean up after. Alright, now at this point, I've finished the polishing. I've gotten it exactly where I want it to be for my tinting, and this is the result. You're looking at, it's pretty clear, and if you want a comparison, I haven't done the other one yet, and it was just about as messed up. So you have that. Goes from ultra speckled to now you can actually see through it just fine. Although obviously the glaring's kind of a hard way to translate, but I move it around a little bit so you can kind of try to tell. And that's really it. That was all from using Mother's NuLens. And, you know, if you need anything else, just get you wet and dry sandpaper and you can pretty well do it. It's 400, 800, 1500. And then you move on to the 3000 pad, which is dry, and you polish it. So with that being said, y'all stay tuned for the tinting video. I will do that later. And share this with your friends to give them a how-to on how to clean up your headlights, how to restore your headlights. Pretty simple, not that difficult, and once you see how it's done, it's pretty easy. So this has been your boy Wisco Madman. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.